Hello there and welcome to World News Program streaming to you live on All 24 News. I'm your host, Greenford Zachary, and up next are the top stories. Palestinians in Gaza spent Eid al-Adha under ongoing airstrikes, with 41 killed in Zionist attacks across multiple locations, including Rafah, Al-Burayj, and Nusayrat camps in Gaza City. Zionist forces escalated tensions on Eid's first day in the West Bank, entering Al-Aqsa Mosque and raiding Balata camp in Nablus, while 40,000 worshippers defied restrictions to pray inside the mosque. That's next. Also coming up, Algerian President performs Eid al-Adha prayers in Africa's largest mosque. Algerians also celebrated Eid with a strong focus on faith and calls for Palestine's liberation. The details right after the break. Hello again and welcome to the details. First off in our topical news, Palestinians in Gaza celebrated Eid al-Adha amid ongoing Zionist bombings and enduring the prolonged war, seeking moments of happiness by praying in the ruins of destroyed mosques and without the traditional ritual. Here's the Samayadi with the story.
Palestinians in the Gaza Strip held Eid al-Adha prayers on Sunday among ruins as the city lacked any signs of celebration amid the continuous war. People sat on prayer mats that they placed among the rubble of surrounding destroyed buildings, while few children wore traditional clothes on their way to prayers.
Today we're in the mosque of Al-Aman neighborhood. As Muslims, we pray Eid prayers. As you know, the Eid for all Muslims and for us is sacrificing animals to shed blood. But this Eid, there isn't any sign of celebration. There are no sacrificed animals. Now we sacrifice ourselves. We sacrifice our own bodies. There is no Eid celebrations in Gaza.
Despite more than 9 months of enduring unprecedented war crimes and genocidal war by the Zionist entity, Palestinians are committed to their religion and traditions by celebrating one of the most important festivities for the Muslims in the Gaza Strip.
Honestly, this is a weird feeling, because each year we usually sacrifice an animal. This year is probably the only Eid we haven't sacrificed. I had the feeling that there is no Eid without sacrifice. The streets are empty, there are no sacrificed animals.
The usual festive spirit of Eid was notably absent, especially amid the impossibility to sacrifice sheep, which is the most important rite to the celebration. However, sermons have emphasized the importance of visiting the families of martyrs, the injured, and the imprisoned, as well as maintaining family ties. They also stressed on the need to bring joy to the orphans of the martyrs, as well as the children of the injured and imprisoned.
This Eid we are in pain because of losing our beloved and a lot of martyrs. The occupation has destroyed our houses. There is no celebration. The joy is incomplete. We lost our beloved and a lot of people have been killed. Thank God. I hope God would compensate us, and I wish for a blessed Eid al-Adha.
The Shia's Eid remains one of the most tragic, especially that most of the civilians in the Strip remain displaced or living amid large piles of rubble, in addition to the absence of family members from each and every family in the Strip due to the relentless shelling of the Zionist occupation forces. Palestinians also endure the absence of basic life necessities, while humanitarian aid remains inaccessible.
Still in the Gaza Strip, where Zionist forces conducted 3 new massacres within just 24 hours, resulting in the deaths of 41 Palestinians and over 100 wounded. The ongoing aggression has now claimed a total of 37,337 lives and injured 85,299 wounded since October 7th. On Sunday evening, airstrikes on Al-Buraij camp killed 9 Palestinians, including 6 children and an infant, and injured many more. In Rafah and Al-Nusayrat camp, dawn raids on Eid al-Adha left several Palestinians injured, while bombings in Gaza City's southwest intensified the humanitarian crisis. On Sunday as well, Zionist forces stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque's courtyards, assaulting worshippers at Bab al-Silsila and preventing them from praying inside the mosque. Despite restrictions, Palestinians defiantly performed Eid al-Adha prayers in Al-Aqsa's courtyards. Despite occupation restrictions and attacks on worshippers, 40,000 people prayed Eid al-Adha in the courtyards of Al-Aqsa Mosque. The Islamic Endowments Department in Al-Quds reported the large turnout despite thousands being barred from entering due to strict closures. 8,000 Palestinians performed Eid prayers at the Ibrahimi Mosque despite occupation-imposed restrictions and obstacles. Zionist forces intensified their presence at the mosque's gates and surrounding checkpoints, conducting ID checks and physical searches on attendees. Zionist occupation forces raided the village of Rojib and Balata camp in East Nablus. According to the Palestinian news agency, occupation vehicles entered Balata camp from the Beit Farik checkpoint, deploying heavily and firing shots. Simultaneously, forces besieged and raided a house in the village of Rojib. Hamas urged intensified relief efforts for Palestinians facing Zionist occupation's campaigns of extermination, ethnic cleansing, and starvation. The statement issued on Eid al-Adha Thursday called on Arab and Islamic nations to support Palestinian resilience and defense of their sacred sites. Hamas emphasized the unity of Palestinians across Gaza and beyond in safeguarding Palestine's lands and Al-Aqsa Mosque, significant to Muslims worldwide. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh announced on Eid al-Adha that Hamas is flexible toward a Gaza ceasefire aligned with the principles from US President Joe Biden's plan. He accused the Zionist entity of non-compliance with Security Council resolutions and reiterated Hamas's readiness to negotiate a permanent ceasefire with full Zionist withdrawal from Gaza.
The
Hamas movement, together with the resistance factions, demonstrated seriousness and flexibility to agree to an agreement that puts an end to the bloodshed of our people and stop aggression. The response we presented to the mediators with the brothers of the Islamic Jihad movement, a response that conforms with the principles of Biden's speech and the Security Council resolution. However, the occupation and its allies did not adapt with this flexibility and continued with their maneuvers and deception attempts through proposals and ideas in order to free the hostages and then resume the genocidal war.
And in global reactions in Jordan, this time hundreds protested on Sunday near the entity's embassy in Amman after Eid al-Adha prayers, condemning the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Demonstrators voiced support for Gaza's Palestinians and demanded an immediate cessation of hostilities, the opening of Rafah crossing for humanitarian aid, and the cancellation of peace agreements.
Today we tell the resistance in Gaza that we're with you, always, at all times, at Eid time and at other times. We're with you. We support your courage. We're among your popular support that announced day after day that it backs the resistance until the complete liberation.
And in other news, on Sunday, Hajj pilgrims completed their rituals with the stoning of the Jamarat in Mina following Ihram, Tawaf, Sa'i and Tarwiyah and standing at the Arafat. This marked the start of Eid al-Adha as pilgrims gathered in Mina Valley near Mecca to throw pebbles at the 3 Jamarat they collected in Muzdalifah. They then returned to Mecca to perform sacrifices and conclude with the farewell tawaf at the Grand Mosque. Over 1.5 million Muslim pilgrims prayed for Palestinians on the first day of Eid al-Adha. Many expressed solidarity with the Palestinian people, condemning the ongoing conflict and the actions of the Zionist occupation in Gaza.
Today is the Eid, and I thought is my feelings for our brother and sister in Gaza. I hope they're doing well and they can celebrate the Eid also with healthy and stop the ceasefire. And we all pray for our brother and sister in Gaza.
From the beginning till the end, I was making dua for the Palestine, my brothers and sisters, and for the Gaza and the whole ummah of the dunya. We need a victory for the Gaza. We need the victory for the Muslim ummah and especially for the Palestine brothers and sisters.
Still with Eid al-Adha festivities in Algeria, President Abdelmajid Tebboune performed Eid al-Adha prayers on Sunday at the Great Mosque of Algiers, joined by senior state officials, government members, diplomats from Arab and Islamic countries, and a large gathering of citizens, creating a solemn and peaceful atmosphere.
اللهم انصر إخواننا المؤمنين المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم انصرهم في فلسطين. اللهم انصرهم في غزة وفي فلسطين. اللهم افتح لهم فتحا مبينا. اللهم انصرهم نصرا عزيزا. اللهم اربط على قلوبهم. اللهم ثبت أقدامهم وانصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم. اللهم أمن خائفهم. اللهم اكس عاريهم وأطعم جائعهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا ربنا وفق ولاة أمور المسلمين في كل مكان.
Amen to that. And after the prayer, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune exchanged Eid al-Adha greetings with officials and worshippers at the Great Mosque of Algiers. He received greetings from various dignitaries, including the President of the Council of the Nations, Salah Koujil, the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, and other high-ranking officials such as the President of the Constitutional Court, the Prime Minister, the Chief of Staff of the Algerian Army, and Director of the Algerian Presidential Office. Additionally, he exchanged Eid greetings with diplomats from Islamic countries accredited in Algeria. Algerians celebrated Eid al-Adha amid a deeply spiritual atmosphere, emphasizing solidarity with Palestinians enduring severe Zionist aggression. Zahra Farjani has the details.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
As the dawn of Eid al-Adha breaks, thousands of worshippers flock to the Grand Mosque of Algiers with hearts filled with faith. The mosque's majestic domes high in the sky blend with the harmonious calls of takbir, marking the beginning of a day filled with worship and joy.
An indescribable feeling. It's comfortable and reassuring. Thank Allah for the blessing of Islam and the blessing of the Great Mosque of Algiers.
ونعمة الإسلام والنعمة اللي رانا فيها والمجد الأعظم.
I am very proud to be able to perform Eid prayers in the Great Mosque, which is considered the first and largest mosque in Africa and the third in the world. This is an honor for me indeed.
In this unique spiritual atmosphere, Hands are raised in prayer, seeking Allah's mercy and blessings on this sacred day. Prayers extend to the wounded land of Gaza, as solidarity is felt in every gesture of the worshippers who implore for Gaza's imminent relief.
Perhaps the least Algerians can do for Palestinians is pray for them to be victorious against Zionists.
We cannot leave this place without mentioning our brothers in Gaza and without mentioning our brothers in Palestine. We are with our brothers, heart and soul.
Allahu Akbar.
For Algerians, performing Eid al-Adha prayer in congregation is more than a religious duty. It's a social event that revitalizes family and brotherly bonds, showcasing the deep-rooted traditions of the Algerian society.
Unlike other Muslim communities, Algerians began sacrificing sheep right after Eid prayers, fostering a spirit of brotherhood and solidarity rooted in traditions of unity within the nation and support for oppressed peoples worldwide. Here's Islam Said now.
As the sun rises on the day of Eid al-Adha, the streets of Algiers come alive with activity. Following the morning prayers, families and citizens flood the neighborhoods, eager to perform the traditional ritual of sacrifice. This day is marked by a sense of unity and community spirit, as children's laughter mingles with family and neighbors coming together.
I pray to God that this Eid brings mercy and forgiveness among us, clears away grudges and unites all people as brothers. We are in a Muslim country, and may Islam always be our guiding light.
The Eid al-Adha celebration embodies values of solidarity and mutual support. Algerians hold fast to these principles, ensuring they are reflected in their actions as they stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people amid the ongoing Zionist genocidal war in Gaza.
I wish happiness and well-being to Algerians first. Let us not forget the people of Gaza, the second of Eid. On the occasion of Eid, I pray to God to grant them victory, as we are safe here in Algeria, but they are living under bombardment and aggression.
On the occasion of Eid, I say Eid Mubarak to all of you, to all Muslims, to all Algerians here and abroad, and to Algerians performing Hajj. Let us not forget the people of Gaza. I say to them Eid Mubarak.
In observance of Eid al-Adha, Algerians highlight a religious ritual, rich in social and symbolic meaning. Their actions demonstrate a message of togetherness and empathy, both within their nation and across borders.
And still with Eid celebrations, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune and his Tunisian counterpart Qais Said exchanged Eid al-Adha greetings during a phone call, as announced by the Algerian presidency. They expressed mutual wishes for continued prosperity and progress for both nations. Sahrawi President Brahim Ghali reaffirmed his country's commitment to strengthen bilateral relations with Mauritania. In a congratulatory message to Mauritanian President Mohammed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazouani for Eid al-Adha, Ghali expressed readiness to work towards peace, security, stability, and prosperity for the Sahrawi and Mauritanian peoples, as well as the broader region. And during the first 5 months of this year, Algeria remained the EU's second largest natural gas supplier via pipelines. Algeria's gas exports to Europe from January to May totaled 30 billion cubic meters, marking a 15% increase compared to the same period last year. In May 2024, Italy alone received 71% of Algeria's total pipeline gas exports to the EU, showing a 6% decrease from the previous month. And in other world development, the first international summit on Ukraine peace without Russia was marked by division over the summit's final statement, lacking collective support. Sofian Kanturi reports.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the first international summit on peace in Ukraine that witnessed the absence of the Russian delegation ended with a call for all parties in the conflict to cease hostilities, as stated in its final statement. The summit gathered over 100 participants who strongly supported principles like sovereignty and independence, with a focus on Ukraine. For his part, President Volodymyr Zelensky declared that he plans to propose peace initiatives to Russia upon international endorsement, conditioned on Russian troop withdrawal from Ukraine.
We're fighting for the world to oblige them, but for us the result is the most important thing. The result is the end of this war. As for the negotiations with Russia, I think I said this in detail previously. Russia can start negotiations with us even tomorrow, without waiting for anything, if it leaves our legal territories. This is a simple respect for the Charter of the United Nations.
In response, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated that Russian President Vladimir Putin remains open to talks with Ukraine, but stressed the necessity of guarantees to ensure the credibility of any negotiations. Previously, Putin downplayed the importance of this summit, to which his country was not invited.
Every time Putin voices peace initiatives and attempts are made for a solution along political and diplomatic lines, there are certain conditions on the ground. Every time they deteriorate for Ukraine. The current dynamics of the situation on the front clearly demonstrate to us that it will continue to get worse for Ukrainians.
However, Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer acknowledged division over Ukraine talks' final statement, citing lack of collective support, while Mexican Foreign Minister Alicia Barcina Ibarra questioned the Switzerland conference effectiveness in ending the war.
Although several peace initiatives have been presented, none seems to have gathered the universal international support needed to be successful. On the contrary, we are seeing an escalation, and more deployment of arms and military equipment at the expense of the suffering of civilians, particularly women and children.
Meanwhile, tensions escalated on the ground as Russian forces reportedly seized a village in Ukraine's Zaporizhia region. Ukraine's defense ministry confirmed that units from the Force of the East liberated Zagornaya and fortified their positions.
And finally, let's catch up on other news stories with Salma Nasib now.
The head of Sudan's Sovereignty Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, confirmed his confidence in a complete victory in what he called the battle of dignity for more than a year between the two rivals, the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces, in the city of Al-Fashir, the capital of North Darfur state. Hezbollah announced that it had retaliated against the Zionist attacks targeting southern Lebanon since the Aqsa flood operation, which left thousands of martyrs by targeting a Zionist military post located in the north of the occupied territories. As many as 10 people, including children, were shot and wounded at a city-run water park near Detroit on Saturday evening, police said, calling the incident random gunfire. The suspect was still at large, but police said they believed he was cornered in a house nearby. The Tunisian Foreign Ministry, in a statement, announced the cancellation of entry visas for citizens of both Iran and Iraq in light of steps to strengthen relations between the two countries within the framework of tourism that does not exceed 15 days.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our news comes to a close. Thank you for tuning into our channel. For more, you can always visit our social media platforms. Until next time, have a good one.